Hello, everybody, and welcome to SOG Tonight. I'm your host, Eric Holzman, and we're going to get into something tonight. Haven't done one of these in a while, so if I'm a little rusty, I apologize. But I just wanted to come on because I've been talking about it for a while, and I've been wanting to do something Star Wars related. And as you all know, Pete is not the biggest Star Wars fan. In fact, he always says Star Wars sucks. So I figured I would. He actually said, Eric, you should try and do something Star Wars related without me, and you know, try and maybe do it on the live stream. So I was like, yeah, I've been wanting to do more live streams. So here I am, and we're going to be discussing Obi Wan, of course. Uh, there we go. Of course, the Disney Plus series that just started last Friday. Actually, they released the first two episodes, and then today they released episode 3. So we're gonna get into all of that. But I have also been talking with somebody about doing a Star Wars show for a while. You guys probably all know him. He's 1/3 of the Vigilante 1939. He has his own TikTok channel where he reviews movies. I'm talking about my friend Nikko Caruso. So Nikko,
Mr. Holzman.
what's going on, man?
Dude, I was knocking my glasses off. I'm so hyped. Dude, happy to be here. Yeah, you and I, it's funny, ever since we met it's probably over 2 years ago now, or maybe close to. And we've been on a million shows together. We even talked about Trial of the Chicago 7 and some of these like movies together, but we've always talked about doing something Star Wars related and just haven't done it. And I think Book of Boba Fett was an opportunity to, and we were all a little lukewarm on it. So it's like, all right, let's not have that be the first one to do. But what a perfect time for us to finally hop on and talk about this stuff. I'm very thankful to be here to the return of SOG Tonight.
Yeah. I haven't done one of these. I couldn't even tell you the last time. It's been a while. But I've been wanting to do more live stream stuff. This is the format I prefer to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do more, and I thought this would just be a perfect opportunity. Like I said, we've been talking about doing something Star Wars related for such a long
2 years.
time.
Yeah.
So this let's just get right into it, man. Obi Wan.
Mm-hmm.
This is talked about for a long time. Originally, when it was originally talked about as a film. People were talking about wanting to do it as a film. And I remember there was a lot of logistics behind it. And at the time, I don't think Ewan McGregor was really down to do it. So he didn't. So when Disney Plus came about, that kind of got the wheels in motion. And I think it was just the best time for everybody to get involved. And then probably because they wanted to do a much more elaborate story than you could fit in one film. As we know, this is a limited series that's in 6 parts. So, I think this was probably the best format for it. And I guess just the stars aligned with Disney Plus. And here we go. So what was your anticipation for this show?
It was high. I remember it's funny. I do remember this was one of those films that was always talked about that never happened. Another one was like and we finally got confirmation on this recently, but there was the James Mangold Boba Fett film that was rumored. When Disney talked about doing those anthology films outside of Rogue One and Solo, I know there's the Obi-Wan, there's Boba Fett, and there's like another film that we're talked about that just got lost, in translation. And you're right. Once Mando hit and the success of that first season and the success of even going into season 2, it's like Kathleen Kennedy and company was like, wait, this Disney Plus is probably the place to do this. And it just got everyone back, which is brilliant. My anticipation was high. It was even higher than Boba Fett. Boba Fett is one of my favorite Star Wars entities of all time. And that show kind of came and went, but there was something about, and I know you will agree with me, because when it comes to Star Wars, except for The Last Jedi, we do think pretty much alike. Is when I remember being 10 years old and watching Revenge of the Sith, and when that movie ends and Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he's going to be able to talk to Qui-Gon again, and we see Anakin become Vader. And then at that point, that's all there was for Star Wars, right? Really. And then the next thing you think about is, okay, well, how do we get to A New Hope? What is the story of essentially Obi-Wan and everyone on the run, and then the rise of Darth Vader? And I know there's been comic books and video games and now since then shows like Rebels, you know, have really developed it, but still there was actually seeing Ewan McGregor doing it. And so my anticipation was so high. Deborah Chow did some of the best episodes of The Mandalorian. So the fact that she was going to helm the whole thing was just incredible. We're getting Hayden Christensen coming back, getting the redemption. It was very high. And I think my anticipation played into my feelings of the first two, which we will get to. But my
Yes.
anticipation was very, very high. I still remember when the first trailer dropped, then when the second one dropped, and you see the little tease of Vader at the end. It was this is, I think, for most Star Wars fans, story. I think I could speak for most of us that we have been waiting to see, and it's here.
Yeah, the period between Sith and obviously A New Hope is a period that was rarely explored outside of expanded universe stuff. So, you know, once they decided to do things, obviously animation, you had like you said, Rebels came up, and uh what's the other one I'm forgetting? Oh, and then obviously Rogue One was a
Yo,
movie
yeah.
that, you know, that played into that time period as well. And it was cool when you started seeing all of those things and filling in this time that we really didn't have much going on. That was just fantastic. So yeah, when I remember originally when this was going to be a film, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like
Yeah.
let's make the movie. But I really think this is probably the best venue for it, especially when, like, now 3 episodes in, what we see they're trying to accomplish. There's a lot in these first 3 episodes,
There it is.
especially episode 3, which obviously we'll get to, which just came out. So, guys, we were
Mhm.
going to be talking about this openly in spoilers, so I just want to
Oh,
put that
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, spoilers.
I don't think we could do this show if we didn't talk
No.
about the spoilers.
What is funny though is like
So,
what is funny because I just finally tweeted about what I thought of 3 prior to hopping on here, and I didn't realize the picture I used is probably spoiler free. At the same time, though, we know certain characters are going to be in this, so
right.
like blah blah blah. So, but yes, we are going to be talking like specific stuff that may or may not get in the spoiler territory. So but we all know. I mean, it was a press tour of like 2 to 3 people.
Mhm.
And in the first 2, we see 2 of them. So the third one's got to come in at some point. Just saying. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yep.
take it away.
Yeah, no. So first, I'm just gonna go through some of the characters, and we'll just kind of give a quick little blurb, I guess, on what we feel about the characters. I'll start with Ben Kenobi. Now, I put Ben in quotations because this is the second time now that we hear him referred to as Ben. Obviously, in a New Hope is the first time we hear
Mhm.
that, and then we hear him called Ben for the first time in this one, and he very specifically wants to be known as Ben now.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to talk about it is because this is a very different Obi Wan than we saw the last time we saw him. I really really enjoy this, how Deborah Chow and the writers are going about telling this part of the story, because he's such a noble character in the prequel trilogy, and he's arguably the greatest Jedi ever. If you really want to just
Yeah.
put that out there, you could make the case that he's the greatest Jedi ever. So the fact that we see him this way, I was a little taken aback, a little surprising. What did you think?
It was cool. I really enjoyed it. It was they definitely went for it a little bit more. And just to speak about all 3 generally, I'm glad they actually committed to this idea with him. I think we've seen on Disney Plus in general, or just other projects, where they don't fully commit to the idea of the character. They're quickly to default them back to where they were. And they've really committed to, not only is he, closed off and down, that he really has shut himself off from the force, and that does have a massive effect on him, both physically, skill set wise, and emotionally as well. And Ewan McGregor is absolutely delivering with his performance. Not only does he effortlessly slip back into the role, he's doing it in this fresh way too, that I think is very compelling. And it does make the story that much more interesting, because you're right, we're even at the end of Revenge of the Sith, we don't see this yet. He's still kind of hopeful and the guy. And then we had years of Clone Wars after him, seeing him a certain way. And then, when he shows up in Rebels. So I'm very much into the characterization of him. 1,000,000%. And now I'm by myself on the screen. Oh my gosh, where did Mr. Holzman go? So, I'm just gonna keep talking. Are we still live? This is crazy. This is a real thing. I'm gonna look at some comments real quick. It was storming by him, so I wonder if he lost it. So all right, so let's see. Let's go back. We got Mr. Jacob Miller. Hello. We got Matthew Ports. I'm not sure if I know you or have met you, but well, Peter Vera is not right about everything. We got Mr. Evans, Mr. Miller, Zednik. May the Sith be with you. That's funny. Like these two fine gents. Thank you. You know, there was the Yoda one, Jacob. I love how you brought this up. That's true. There was a Yoda one as well. And then Long Live and Prosper. Yeah, no, Eric just texted me saying there was a lightning strike power surge. I'm gonna tell him, you good? We're just moving forward. We're just moving along. Over under Grogu being shown in the Jedi Temple during Order 66. 50%, probably. Because Nikko hosting now Nikko's own SOG show. It's now the Nikko show. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys, I'm trying. The only Ben is Ben Affleck. That's hilarious. Nikko definitely jamming out to Duel of the Fates. I listened to it before last night on the way home from work because I figured we were going to get, a certain appearance of someone in this one, but definitely all day today, as well as a lot of the soundtrack from Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith as well. But Grogu being shown, I think so. They've already had a pretty big, I'll say big if you've seen Clone Wars. They had a pretty decent Easter egg call out of a character, another Jedi who appears in the Clone Wars. So Grogu being shown, they are doing a really good job, I think. Well, it depends if you like the sequel trilogy or not, of trying to like justify things. Like you remember in Mando season 1, they showed that the Jedi's could actually heal, and that came out a couple weeks before the Rise of Skywalker, where the whole Rey and Kylo healing factor was a massive, beat of the movie. And then after also Rise of Skywalker, there was the whole cloning, how is Palpatine still alive debacle, and that, he cloned himself to try to be Snoke. And then at the end of Mando season 2, I think it's episode 8, maybe it's 7, where you see that they're actually trying to clone something or someone, and you're probably led to believe, at least I was, that is the Emperor. Because there's a lot of the EU and the Legend stuff where he does clone himself and continue on. So will it show Grogu being in there? Probably. Maybe. I think 50% is great. What should the next Star Wars film be? Nostalgia based or original ideas? I think original idea, because the nostalgia stuff they already kind of used, and they didn't use it well, in my opinion, or as consistent enough as they should. And I think nostalgia is the place in some places on Disney Plus right now. I would like it to be original. It's Taika Waititi's, and he's known for doing original. Yes, he adapted Ragnarok, and he is going to draw some of the Jane Foster, Mighty Thor stuff, but he really does his own thing. So the leak stuff I sent you was literally in this episode. Yeah, I was gonna DM you because there is apparently a lot of the leak stuff about this is true. So one, be careful on the internet, but also if you're like me or Jacob who like to talk about it sometimes, it's totally cool. It's totally cool, and a lot of it's being confirmed. So stay away. Just watch the episode. How awesome was that? Yeah, episode 3. We're gonna slowly go 1 through 3 here once Eric gets back on. He had this little lightning surge thing. But yeah, this one was crazy. This one was crazy. Deborah Chow really understood the assignment, and I thought she did a decent job with the first 2. You'll hear my thoughts on the first one, first couple episodes in just a sec, but this one she really stepped it up, and I actually think episode 3 is a massive leap from the first 2. The biggest round that Disney did was base the nostalgia only on the OT. Yeah, that's a good point. For the sequel trilogy you're talking about. Yeah, I definitely think that I really thought at the end of Rise of Skywalker, I know they do the voices, all the voices come back. I mean, I assume you all have seen Rise of Skywalker. I thought they would bring in some more of those. How many flashbacks? I think some soon. I also think he's in the costume. Do I have to pull you back on, Eric, or can you just hop
No,
on?
I'm
There you
here.
go. No, you're
I'm
good.
here.
He's back. Okay,
Oh,
everyone in the comments, I think I did a decent job keeping the ship
good job,
going.
Nico.
I
Thank you.
tried. I just went right to the comments, which if I didn't have the comments here, I would have just started talking about the show. But Eric, I did not want to talk about the show without you.
Okay.
So
No, there's storms in the area and the force lightning the force lightning I guess was shot out and it got me and
Palpatine's back.
yeah, he wanted to take me out. He was not happy with us doing the show. So um but yeah, I'm sure you finished your thoughts about Ben, so that's fine. We can
Yeah,
continue.
just
Were you answering someone's question? Because I don't want to.
no. The only question I was answering was, I do think these flashbacks are coming, but we'll talk about that later. And then I was talking about just the ending of Rise of Skywalker because Matthew here said that they only based the nostalgia off the OT films. And I definitely thought Rise of Skywalker, there was going to be a lot more characters and callbacks. They ended up just being the voices.
Right.
And Jacob, he is correct. They ended up not being able to do the Force Ghost at the end because of China. I do remember that. And I think that,
Wow.
So yeah, that's wild. But yeah, Ben Kenobi, Eric, your thoughts on Ben Kenobi again?
No, I said for me it's a very marked point to just call him Ben in this because he is different. He's a different version of Obi Wan than we last saw him in the sequel trilogy. So sorry, the prequel trilogy. So I'm enjoying it because I always like to see I guess a rebound story, and that's obviously where we're headed. But with the Ben character and the specific Ben, like the point that he even says, "I'm just Ben now."
Yeah,
and all his dealings, it's a very very smart choice, and it kind of links things together. Obviously, with A New Hope, I'm going to bring up that topic later because I have a little thing about plot holes and stuff that we're going to discuss. But
I look forward to that.
We will get to that one later. So I'm going to move on now. I'm going to go to Reva, the third sister. Now, obviously, I think it's pretty common knowledge now that the little girl in the beginning, one of the
that went over my head.
Really?
So bad. Yep.
Yeah, the youngling who's down there with the black curly hair, I'm pretty sure that's Reva. And because I can't imagine why somebody would have this much hate for the Jedi and any other reason than unless she felt abandoned. And now she wants her revenge again. It seems specifically on Obi Wan, which that's the weird part. I'm not really sure what that means yet. But what do you think of Reva?
My guess with that one. So when I get really emotional at Order 6016, I don't know why I always do. So I only watched episodes 1, 2 once. So that first one, I was so hyped for the show. It started, and I was super emotional at that Order 6016 that I wasn't even processing that one of them could be Reva. But you're definitely right. I think maybe she's mad at Obi-Wan because he trained Vader, so she thinks it's his fault. And her whole life is ruined because this one guy couldn't figure out Anakin, maybe. So here's the thing about Reva, and I know I don't want to get into it too much, but the Star Wars fan base is being the Star Wars fan base.
Yeah.
And really massive shout out to the cast and creators and Star Wars overall and Lucasfilm for coming to her defense and supporting her, and we support her as well.
Yep.
1,000,000%. As for her character, I was a little bit. I know we know storytelling, right? So like no one is gonna you're never gonna catch you or I being not realizing the idea that someone's arc or someone's motivation is gonna be revealed in the story. No one's missing that here. But for me, I felt like she was very intense and aggressive right off the bat, to where it was a little not jarring, but it was a little hard to buy into.
Right.
Because we also got no point of reference with the Inquisitors. It's more so if you know them outside of live action, you kind of get what they're about. But if you don't, I would argue you wouldn't really understand what they are, why they're doing what they're doing. And I think we needed a little more from them, just what they are overall, and not these subtle lines of dialogue. Like maybe show a little more just for me to be able to buy into her character a little bit more. By the end of episode 3, my opinion on her character has completely changed, because of, once again, interactions with different characters, more of them, and in different places that give you a feel. So I wasn't really crazy about her character after the first 2. I really wasn't, and that's solely for the reasons of the storytelling alone, and maybe the execution of some of her scenes. I don't think I was feeling what she or Chow was trying to give me with the third sister. I just kept going, I don't get you. I don't really get you. I'm not sure why we're so mad. And I have more to say about the other Inquisitors coming later, but massive step up in episode 3, the first 2, where you get more of a point of reference. That's my main point here. So yeah, the first 2 wasn't fully bought in. Episode 3, that completely changes.
Yes, Steve, I was going to mention that. That's really the first. Well, we get them in Rebels, and I believe that's the first time actually we do see them in any kind of media. I believe it is Rebels. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the character, to me, like originally I didn't even put that connection together that she was she was a youngling or a Padawan or whatever.
Yeah.
Until after the fact, and then I'm like, all right, well, at least that makes a little bit more sense as to
That
why.
did help when I figured that out. Yeah.
Right. That's a little bit okay. We get why she's probably the way she is and how she feels. And you're right. The poor Moses Ingram is taking the crap that Kelly Marie Tran took, and Ahmad Best took, and Jake Lloyd, and I don't understand this fan base sometimes. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think she acted the part well either. Like, I'm not saying it just right, just from someone who appreciates acting and who appreciates good acting. I really wasn't feeling the performance at first. You are right, though. In episode 3, it's a much better performance. She's a little bit more fleshed out in my mind, so I think that probably helped. So it was a little bit better. And obviously, she's a main cog in this story. She's definitely one of the main characters we're going to hear about in this story. So we'll see how it progresses with her. We'll come back to. I was going to do Inquisitor next, but we'll come back to that. But I really want to get to this next one because I just love it.
Absolutely rocks. Absolutely rocks.
Yeah, man.
It's what, the way I worded it to someone, I forget who I was talking to, like, we knew they were cast, little Luke and little Leia, but I think they did a great job of, like, we didn't really know what their role was going to be. And she's like, what, like the third supporting character? I could even argue in episodes 2 and 3, she should be like second on the bill. It should be like Obi Wan and then her. Man, did they write her and direct her perfectly? And the little actress, I mean, I don't like when people criticize child actor performances, because it's just different. It's going to be different. They're literally kids. There's cognitive and maturity, things that just can't be replicated. That's why there's aging and maturity. But man, she really does feel like a little Carrie Fisher. Just the spunk and the fire, and even the cockiness at times. It was so, she's great. She's absolutely great. And I love that. I was worried she was just going to be like the cameo in episode 1, and 3 episodes later, she's literally full on supporting character. Emmy Award nomination, best supporting actress. Like, we will make this happen. We will make this happen.
I mean, she's adorable. This little girl is adorable. So, it's that part alone is enough to watch you to just keep having her on the screen, because she's just such a cute little girl. I was surprised, like a lot of people have said this, that she actually is 10 years old, the actress. She seems a little younger.
She looks younger than 10.
Right? She does look a little younger.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm getting older and I just can't gauge it anymore.
I thought the same thing. Finally, in episode 2, when she's like, I'm 10, I'm like, oh, yeah, really? All right. I know. So that means she's 19 in A New Hope. That's crazy.
I know.
That means
But
that Princess Leia was 19. Okay, I get it.
yeah, yeah, they were all young. Luke was young. Like they obviously he was 19 too, right? So they're all
Yeah, they were really. You're right
they're
about that. They were really young.
yeah.
I keep
So,
forgetting.
but she has been like just a joy to watch.
Hmm.
You could tell this little girl is just having fun too. Like this
Hmm.
actress is just having fun in this world that she probably has heard about from her parents or her,
Yeah.
other people in her life. She's just been awesome. And you're right. She's a main part of this story, which,
Hmm.
and Jacob put it up. True. I had no idea either she was even in the show. She was a
Yeah.
complete surprise to me.
I remembered they both got cast, but I'm like, oh, we're gonna see these little flash. And even in episode 1, I'm like, oh, this is the cute world building, and then Bale's gonna leave and go work with Obi Wan, but it's legitimately the opposite. You're right. I just thought of that. She definitely has no idea what Star Wars is. She definitely has no idea like what it is, but also like I bet it was the best for you and too to get to hang out with this kid for the whole time.
I
Like I'm like,
know.
man, what a great gig. Uh
Yeah, it's just been, she's been such a breath of fresh air in a world. And you're right. They've definitely have given her the sassiness that we saw from Leia in A New Hope. Like it's definitely the same character, just a much younger version. A little bit of time on seeing Bale again, and obviously his wife. I always
yeah,
forget her
Smith.
name.
Yeah,
Um,
I always forget.
but Jimmy Smits does he really look like that, or have they aged him? Because I saw him recently, and he looks worse on this show. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just
No,
saying from what I see.
he looked better in the Heights.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
I saw him last, and he looked really
right.
good in there. Yeah, I don't know. He definitely looks, yeah, not as
That's the wife, Brea.
young. Brea, that's right. And that's no disrespect to him, but yeah, no, they didn't. Maybe they are really trying to age up the 10 years
Mhm.
post, but yeah, no, he definitely looks older and like a little bit more worn. And like we said, we just saw him in the Heights was last year, and he looks a lot better. So I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's good. It was cool. It's cool to see a little bit more of his story, and obviously
Yeah.
getting Brea involved, which we didn't like. We really didn't have any kind of point of reference for her.
Hmm.
So just kind of building the world around Leia and where is at this point.
And cool to see
Um,
Alderaan too.
yeah, looked like it was a pretty place.
Because it goes away. It goes away very soon.
It was a pretty
R.I.P.
place at one point,
R.I.P.
right?
Alderaan. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
that was more sad.
pretty looking place. Oh well. Really quickly on Owen Lars. Man, Joel Edgerton, that dude just does not age at all.
Well, yeah, to talk about a
Right?
difference from the other guy, like he really doesn't age this guy. He's looked the same since I first saw him.
I
Years
know.
ago. Man, yeah, no, shout out to Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're getting the fleshing out of all these characters that we've been introduced to is going to be fun. We only saw a little bit of him,
Mhm.
obviously in the first episode, so I'm sure we'll see a little bit more as time goes on when we get more towards the Luke portion
Mhm.
of it, which I'm sure we're going to get some of.
I 100% now. Have you seen the "you just got owned" memes going around?
Yes, I've seen
They have
those.
become the biggest insult now in the Star Wars community. Is if you get hit with that, it's like you just take a massive L. You just got owned, and then people are working him into other memes. Like when someone says something, and he goes, "You mean like," and then they'll like insert something, and they've
Yep,
been using it for every show. And the internet is truly so fast; it's unbelievable.
it's
Like,
undefeated.
I mean, there are memes of him in like Fast and Furious, and him in the Batman, and him in the Marvel movies, and even him in Stranger Things. And I'm like, my gosh, these people work overtime to give us this content. Yep, same dude,
Yep, same exact guy.
Joel Edgerton, and written pretty in line with how he is in A New Hope, with the really wanting Luke to be in a smaller world than the big one.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. And it's good that there's consistency as well with what we hear
Yeah,
of these characters, and there's no complete like a juxtaposition of who they are. So that's good as well. All right, just a couple more, and then we'll move on to
yeah.
discussing the plot points. Um, Now the Grand Inquisitor, um, I was a little disappointed. I thought he'd be around for a little while longer.
Yeah, this wasn't good. I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
creepy. I'll give him credits for creepiness. That I'll definitely give him that.
the
But
the look was creepy, but I'll be honest, like Yeah, this was a weird. Once again, like this is why we're gonna get into our thoughts on episodes 1 and 2, but like he also didn't feel like the Grand Inquisitor though, and that's not even like just from knowing the character, or if there's a different Grand Inquisitor later, which is I think what they've teed up in this
Right.
show, that's a mantle, it's not one person, which
Right.
I actually really thought was cool. But I mean, for being the Grand Inquisitor and for looking as creepy as he did, it just felt low stakes, low threat. Really lets Riva just go nuts, and then he gets clapped. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't even do anything. And well, I don't mind getting him out of the way. Just the way he went out, I'm like, wow, you're the Grand Inquisitor, and you literally did nothing, in my humble opinion. So Rupert Friend is a pretty decent actor too. He tries, but that's all I got on the Inquisitor was, man.
Here's your pops coming in.
Grand Inquisitor, I like that.
But no, yeah, I agree. It was kind of disappointing because in the animated world, he was pretty badass.
He's pretty badass. He's pretty scary, pretty intimidating.
Right? And now we have this version, and you're kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Let's just move on.
Oh,
Let's just
well.
let Riva take over.
Yeah.
Let's let the plot move us along.
And then there's the other one. His name is here somewhere. The fifth.
I want to say it's like the fifth brother.
Yeah, something like that. I was about to call him the Fifth Element. I'm like, no, Eric, that's the wrong movie.
Isn't he the actor from Fast and Furious, Han?
I don't know.
I haven't seen those movies, but I think it's him.
It might be. I mean, he looks sick. The look.
Yeah, he looks cool. He's got a cool design. And I also like his really over the top voice too. His really over the top voice, like for just no reason, but I'm down for that. That's a type of performance. Like, see, that's I think the difference between sometimes when a performance can be, and we're gonna both sound like hypocrites here, but I think a performance can be over the top and really work. Like my biggest example is Matt Smith in Morbius. It is over the top for
I didn't
no
like it,
reason, but I love it. I love it. It's over the top for no apparent reason, but I love it. So in here, it's like it goes with his aesthetic, though. So yeah, it's and also what a great poster. I can't wait for this one spoiler alert, when we get the Vader one that looks like this, probably on Monday.
Yeah, probably
is going to be. But I'm just curious who's going to be in his eye.
I know.
See, like this guy got one. This guy didn't do nothing, man. This guy didn't do anything.
Yeah, he went out so weak.
He went out. Yes, he looks cool. Okay, wait. So it's gonna be Obi Wan in Vader's eye then.
And this guy,
I'm surprised he got one too. But
I know.
Shouts to Kumail, man. Shouts to Kumail.
He was great. Like he was so good, especially in the first two. I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about the show. And then I saw him. He came in, and I'm like, wow, that was fantastic. Fake Jedi.
The only thing here's with him though is like plot wise, I think it worked. And I like him, and I like him in Eternals a lot. It's just funny. I think because they came out so close together, I just feel like he was himself in Eternals, but here, and so I was distracted. Like if I were to watch it again and could like take myself out of me being like, oh, you're just doing that thing that you always do. Maybe I would have digested it. It's not that I disliked it, but I'm like, oh, here's that one cameo that's so jarring that you just like can't take it seriously in the story. And then he comes back again, and I'm like, damn it, now I'm taking it out of it again. But shouts to him, who's had a really cool year with Eternals and then this.
Yeah, I mean, he, like I said, he's it was my first real exposure to him was in Eternals. I didn't know of him from anything else. And then to see him here, I was surprised. Like, oh, look. And he definitely did give some levity to the show at the beginning. Because I was totally not on board at first. I was depressed. I'm like, I'm not going to like this, am I? I was getting Book of Boba Fett feelings.
I feel you. I was in a very similar place to you, which we will get into. I was in a very similar place to you.
Yes. So, all right. So we're through 3 episodes now. We've begun. Obviously, we had the first 2 were released on Friday, which was fantastic. Nice little start to the Memorial Day weekend for people. You get to watch a little Obi Wan. And then the third episode came out today, and so here we are. We're through 3. Um, really quickly go through and how you processed it and where you are now after 3
Yeah,
episodes.
no, definitely the first 2, and I'll admit, because with this type of project, yeah, no, Jacob, Eric and I were on an island. I saw no one else consider it average like me and Eric did. I was on no one. No, it was literally like him and I were texting the next, even a couple days after, like, I don't know, man. I legitimately was like,
So true.
even I thought my dad wasn't going to care for it as much because he's normally harder on some things. And no, he texted me and he's like, I loved it. You're crazy. I'm like, well, now there must be something wrong.
Uh-oh.
Because it's Star Wars project and he's loving it more than me. But the first 2 I just thought were average, and that is because, hold on, my laptop isn't charging. Can you go first?
I might lose Nikko this time.
Yeah,
So
no, now you might lose me.
yeah, I was just to pick up from where Nikko was at. I was kind of in the same place when I watched the first 2. I was kind of like, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit messy, especially episode 1. I thought was pretty messy.
Yeah, well,
And a little bit all over the place. I wasn't sure what they were trying to do, and I know they have a lot to put in to get people at least back to the point where, okay, now we can start going forward with the narrative. Episode 2 was much better for me, and I watched it again because after I watched the first time, I'm like, I have to watch it again. I'm missing something. I know I could
yeah.
I can't be this wrong. And so I did watch it again, and it's the case with a lot of things with me now. The second time, I guess, because I know what's coming, it works a little bit better.
Yeah.
It was easier for me to put the plot points together. But the things I liked about it, like I said, I liked how they built up Obi Wan as Ben. Now he's no longer Obi Wan at all. He's kind of disconnected himself from the Force completely. He uses a blaster. He doesn't use a lightsaber at all. He has a gun. I have no. What job is he? Is he like a meat? He looks like he was slicing ham or
He
something.
looks like he's a butcher. I think he's a butcher. I think he's a meat packager.
Yeah. So
That's what he is. God bless.
yep. And then when they like then he when you the cool part was obviously when he goes to Owen's house where Luke lives now on the farm and
Yeah.
he sees him from a distance. And I mean, obviously that's the stuff we got a little bit of that in the trailer. And that was the cool stuff to see again. And then we had this mysterious Jedi pop out of nowhere, um, looking for him or finding him, like, oh, I've been following you and all this other stuff. And he's just like, no, run, hide, whatever. So like a lot of it was just all over the place for me, and I wasn't sure what they were doing, and I just was really confused. Like I said, episode 2 was better once they introduced the Leia story and things started to take shape a little bit more there. Uh, but that was also too where Riva took me out of a lot of it too, because I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. So go ahead.
This is an example which this could work sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. And you can tell this is definitely an example of they worked backwards, meaning they built this around not only Obi-Wan, but the Obi-Wan Vader stuff, and then said,
Right.
okay, what can we put before it? How can we get here? And I even think they thought of the Leia stuff, and then they figured out like how are we going to start this, because episode 1, yeah, does feel all over the place. So my anticipation was so high, and I do think my expectations also played a part. I just think they really do. I was over the moon when I sat down at 2:00 in the morning to watch this, right? Which is very late, but I was super hyped. I'm with you with the messiness, especially of episode 1. I feel like they try to do a lot, and they try to do a lot without letting things breathe. Like the Benny Safdie Jedi at the beginning, and then he kind of just gets away from the Inquisitors, and there was no urgency. And yes, the Inquisitors are like, well, we don't go after them, we lure them out. I'm like, but you had the guy right here. So how efficient is this? You're working for Vader, and your plan is, well, when he comes out again, and he will, maybe in 2 months, we'll get him. I'm like, I do not buy that logic. It feels weird. Some of the production, Book of Boba Fett didn't look great. Mando does. Maybe that's because we had Frasier at times for Mandalorian. Like Mandalorian just still looks so good, and it's still on these volumes, and maybe it's all these Disney Plus shows they're putting out, so just the money isn't there. I digress. And it was just it was mainly the direction and the production of that first episode. But I loved what they were doing with Obi-Wan. I loved a lot of the dialogue, but it was just like that's where it was the best, and everything around it. Reva was a little distracting, so everything around him was very distracting. But then the Leia stuff was great. Episode 2, I think, is better as well. The thing that frustrated me about episode 2 is I normally will not use this word because I hate when people use it, but I'm gonna say the word. It felt like they were stalling. I mean, there was like 3 different scenes of Leia running and no one can catch her. And then she's running away from Obi-Wan, and then she's on the roof, right? And then Reva sees them and she's running on the roofs, and just the editing, it cuts back to her 4 times and she's doing like these flips. And I'm like, oh my God, you're still not at Obi-Wan yet. And I felt like the second episode was a lot of running around, insert some like nostalgic dialogue, run around, insert some really great dialogue, run around again. I did rewatch episode 2, played much better for me the second time, and the last 10 minutes of it are outstanding. I mean, especially when Obi-Wan basically refers to Leia that, he's saying that you remind me of Padme. And then when Reva, does kill the Inquisitor, it does feel cheap. But when she taunts Obi-Wan about Anakin being alive, and just Ewan's just the terror in his performance was perfect. And then when it cuts to Vader's face, brilliant. So that's why the first two, definitely felt like they were figuring out this show. Even Deborah Chow, I think, was figuring out how to balance all this, because the writing and the story plot, the concepts there, but it was just the execution. I'm like, man, I'm not a director or writer, but I feel like we're picking these really weird ways to execute certain of these beats, and that completely changes with episode 3, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of agree with the stuff about episode 2. There's a lot of space eating, I guess,
a lot of space eating.
This is the best way to put it. Trying to connect the dots where they wanted to go in that specific episode. I thought some of the stuff on that planet was cool.
Sure.
It kind of looked like the Coruscant that we got right in the prequels, with all the neon lights and the brightness. Mm-hmm. Although this place apparently is just like a super den of iniquity and teenagers selling spice, which we know is drugs in this world.
Which was a cameo by his daughter.
Oh, okay.
So that was Ewan McGregor's daughter who tried to sell the spice, which I thought was cool. I found that out later, and which was cool. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Go off.
Yep. And then again, just adding more to the Leia sassiness story. But can we just talk about how bad Flea was? Like, could we?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's another one too. That's when I felt like it felt. Even the second one, just some of the moments, I'm like, oh, it's so cheap. Like some of these characters they were throwing in there, even the throwaway ones, I'm like, I just don't like this.
So, but those 2 episodes, obviously, as you said, the last scene in episode 2 is the one of Vader in the back of the tank, which obviously sets up episode 3, which I think we all kind of knew, okay, this is a 6-episode show, so we're gonna have to get on with this sooner or later.
Yeah.
And the buildup in this episode, in episode 3, was so well done. Yes, it was just ridiculously well done, building the tension and getting you through all these certain points and testing Obi-Wan. Is he gonna, show his Jedi side at all? With obviously when he's on the skiff, with that guy when they get on that planet with that, I don't know what he was. I forget his name.
Was that Seth Rogen?
I think so. It sounded like him.
It sounded like Seth Rogen. I need someone to find that out. See, for everyone who wants, hold on, quick side note. For everyone who wants him to play the Thing or think that's a good idea, watch this episode of Kenobi and then just imagine that voice on Ben Grimm and promise you will agree with me that should not happen in any multiverse anywhere. Continue, sir.
Yeah, no, I was kind of I was weird. The first time I heard his voice, I said, I'm like, I know this guy. I know this voice.
Oh, definitely Seth Rogen.
And then like midway through, I'm like, oh, that sounds like Seth Rogen.
It's got to be Seth Rogen.
But yeah, all of that stuff. Like I kept saying, is he going to use, the Jedi mind tricks to try and take over?
Yeah.
I kept trying to project what he should do, and they kept him in character for this show. He did not go out of it yet. And then of course we get Darth Vader's appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, as a little boy, when I first saw Star Wars and Vader Vader comes through the door and you just see him, and obviously he's on the ship and it's all white and he's black. That was terrifying for me as a little kid. I felt much watching this and just hearing him talk and the things he said, he seemed much more menacing here than he did there for me. And I'm an adult now, obviously. So for me to say that, that's a really, really shocking, was a shocking development for me. But this obviously is supposed to be Darth Vader at the height of his power, right? Like this is when we're supposed to see his true, why he became so feared in the universe. And he is ruthless, relentless. That scene where he's walking through the town, where he finally gets there and he's walking through the town and he's just killing people and like force choking people and doing all these things back and forth. And yeah, and then their confrontation, man, he kicks Obi-Wan's butt. So go ahead, man. I don't want to talk too much.
This is some of the this is not hyperbole. It was not Seth Rogen. Holy hell, who? Shout out to
that makes sense.
Shout out to Florence Pugh.
We love you, Jacob. Thank you.
We love you, Jacob. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, that makes sense. And shouts to Pugh and Braff, who are still happily together after some speculation with Will Poulter last week that swept on Twitter like a firestorm. We'll talk about that later.
Nikko is my TMZ connection, so there we go. Nikko has the TMZ.
We'll talk about that off camera. That thing swept for about a day to the point where she had to say something. I was like, oh man, it must have been bigger than I thought. Totally. Not hyperbole to say, that was some of the most tense Star Wars stuff ever. That last 15 minutes, just because you knew the whole episode. This is why I said episode 3 is a massive leap from 1 and 2, but also why I really think Chow figured it out is this one felt so much more focused. Like this one, everything flows perfectly and it just builds and builds and builds. And every scene gets more and more nerve-wracking. You know, first they get on the skiff and then the stormtroopers get on, then they get off, then they got to fight them, then more come, then they come to the town, then that might be the scariest we've seen Vader, because at least we knew he was going to kill the rebels in Rogue One, as scary as he is, but these were innocent people. And then it showed him break that younger guy's neck. I mean, also Disney Plus has been going hard with the violence. I don't want to hear about that. Like, other movies are more violent. I mean, I'm not even trying to, like, between Boba Fett, like breaking that guy's neck and stabbing him with the skiff, and then Mando basically decapitating the guy, and
then Falcon and Winter Soldier,
the John Walker, and then even when the stormtrooper falls and gets his body spliced, I'm like, come on, okay, he's Disney Plus for pushing that violence here. But yeah, that's some of the scariest I've seen Vader, and the way when it pauses and he looks, and he's trying to bait Obi-Wan out the whole time. He knows he's there, and the way Obi-Wan is. If anyone, I'm sure there might be people complaining, like, why is Obi-Wan just running the whole time? He's literally trying to get him as far away from Leia as possible. Like, he's basically about to give himself up. He knows that. He knows that because he's still noble in the end. And you're right. The way it builds I thought the same thing, and that's the genius is, why doesn't he use the mind tricks? Why doesn't he pull his lightsaber out? Because he only does it at the end when he needs to with Vader. And he's still, you see how I respect how they committed to the character, like you said.
Yeah.
But they're also showing how when you're closed off from the Force that long, what it does to you. And he's weaker. He's less skilled. It feels like the lightsaber's heavier for him. You know what I mean? Because a lot of Star Wars canon and stuff talks about how if you're not Force sensitive or even a Jedi, it's harder for you to wield the lightsaber. So all that was great. And man, does this one really deliver on the emotional stuff too. The character who played Oberyn's love interest on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and Indira Varma is the actress's name.
Indira Varma, there it is. Yes, she was great in her little bit of moments. Had great dialogue with Ewan and a little Leia, and just they keep alluding to that Leia's going to be this warrior. I mean, every line about her and her future just hits. It's so because you're like, oh
Right.
yes. But man, and then it ends on a pretty gnarly cliffhanger, but visually too. I mean, the shots with Vader in front of the fire. I'm like, yeah, they went harder on
The
this scene.
fact, yeah, the fact that he pulls him into the fire just like he
Oh,
had to deal with, and he
oh,
says, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm gonna make you suffer.
yes.
Like that was just like you see, okay, whatever little bit of Anakin might have been is
And
completely gone,
right,
right?
100%. And even the way like he's toying with them during the whole fight, like he's using one hand, and I saw some people be like, oh, like no disrespect, but people being like, yeah, the choreography wasn't great between them. It's because Vader's not trying.
Yeah, that's
And you
the
see
truth.
how Obi-Wan's falling over
Yeah,
as Vader's just doing, and then some of the close, like it's taking everything for Obi-Wan to hang in there with this guy. And I just think that's brilliant direction.
right.
Just brilliant setting up the scene. Stephen Helm, absolutely. Because
Well,
they're so on the nose with 3 episodes now, him trying to call him. They're like,
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. Definitely gonna
right. I had heard, I mean, I remember a couple weeks ago on Straight Outta Gotham, Pete and I did a story about Liam Neeson saying he wouldn't do a show because he's so much a creature of film. And now I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just totally throwing people off. We're going to see.
Not to mention he's already confirmed to come back for Tales of the Jedi to do the voice
Yeah, that's true.
of young
Yes.
Qui-Gon. Yeah, no, she's a
Right.
freaking liar.
Yeah.
She's a freaking
But
liar.
I think the scene where Obi-Wan is looking and he sees someone in a cloak across like the dune and he's standing there with Leia and then he looks away and
Mhm.
he's gone. I think that was Qui-Gon. I think that
Was
was
it?
a vision of, I don't know for certain. I'm just,
See, I thought it was Christensen, and I was
that
like,
could be
"Ooh,
too. That
yeah,
could be too. But I was thinking, no, that's probably Qui-Gon
both
because he,
slap. Both options are
right.
great."
And he's been trying to commune with him the entire show since the first
Yeah.
episode. Like he's been trying to get there. So I don't know. But yeah, this episode really, really raised the stakes. Like we finally got that episode where you're like, okay,
Heavy.
now we get it. Now we know how bad Vader is, how weak Obi-Wan is. Like we had to see that confrontation just to know their real status. And
Which I think is okay, because I'm sure there's gonna be people who are like, "Oh, of course they like it now that Vader's on," but this is the core of the story. Whether or not how well written or how well you think the first 2 episodes are, this is why we're here, and
good call.
this is why the show exists, and this is the episode that does make the first 2 better, because this is the type of episode, like I said, from the performances and from the direction from Chow, this is one of those episodes where it ends and you say, "Yep, like this is it. Okay,
Right.
this thing is the real deal."
I'm there now.
And now I'm there, and this thing has the potential to be the real deal.
Yep.
When you see one of this nature, now the next 3 could fall flat, but I don't think so, because this felt like the first climax. It felt like we already reached a climax,
Mhm.
and there's going to be another massive one. And to think we might get a Qui-Gon payoff, another duel, a Leia payoff, a Luke payoff. It's yeah, I think we're in a really, really good spot. A really, really good spot. But man, I want that shot of Vader in front of the fire, like framed. Like
I
that
know,
stuff
so
was
good.
chilling. There's some of the most chilling Star Wars stuff ever. The last 15 minutes, and that dialogue. The "What have you become? I am what you made me." I mean,
Yep.
it just all hit. It just all was hitting in this one. I'm like, we're here.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Like it was a slow build to get here, but we're here now. And even Riva was much better. Like we
Better.
said, her character was much better. And the way it ends with Leia thinking she's going to a pilot
Mhm.
who obviously Riva killed, and it's Riva standing there saying, I'll take you. So we're finally seeing that as well. Leia's like, because it's been like twice she was captured or she was rescued, then she
Yeah.
going through all this stuff, and now it seems like she's getting captured for real this time, I'm gonna say. And so we'll see exactly where this one goes. But so far through the 3 episodes, do you have any surprises, any disappointments from,
I
obviously we've
would
run
s-
through some disappointments,
I would
but
say surprises. Well, here, let me just do the disappointments real quick. My only disappointments were really some stuff in the first 2 episodes. episode 3 was pretty perfect for me. If I want to nitpick, yeah, like maybe how Vader just lets Obi-Wan get away at the end, sure, but he's playing a game with him. I don't think he was looking to let that moment be ruined.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's too calculated. Like you saw that whole fight. He's toying with them. So I don't think he's like, no, I'm not going to kill this rebel and then have all these stormtroopers around. Like he wants something monumental, I think, to take on Obi-Wan. So my only disappointments would be the first two. Just things about them, not as a whole. I still, like I said, I still thought it was average. I thought it was okay. I was still in, after the first two. I just wasn't blown away like everyone else. Surprises, how well this third episode hit. And it wasn't just because Darth Vader being in it was a massive factor, but just the way, even before Vader really shows up in that town, the tension building and the writing and the direction was really strong. Big surprise was the Quinlan.
Right. That was one of the ones I wrote down. Yeah.
I said, okay, we're gonna put in these lines of dialogue, which I like. Is he gonna? That's pretty cool. Is he gonna be on it? Are we gonna see something? I don't know. What Disney Plus has shown you is Mando did it better than Boba Fett, in my opinion. But they're not afraid to just pull things from the animated or the comics and be like, here's very little explanation of them at all. Like, I still think Cad Bane is the best example. Like,
or Thrawn.
All exposition of like Cad Bane being like that they have all this history. And I'm like, nobody who has not seen Cad Bane before cares because they didn't do anything to build
this character up.
Yep. All they did was let him shoot Timothy Olyphant. You were surprised by how evil Vader was, Jacob. I get that. At the same time, I loved it because I feel like Vader's been described in the comics and the video games as being this bad, and even in Rogue One, he's bad. But it's such a moment. Like this was just like,
yes,
innocent people. Like, just going back to like we knew he was gonna wash some rebels in Rogue One, but dear Lord. He's going through the town. He's dragging people by the throat force-wise and just letting them die in the street. And he's killing a family. He's killing a father and son in front of a mother. Like it was gnarly stuff, man. How about you? Surprises or disappointments?
I was surprised at how much Leia. We kind of discussed that already, but that was a surprise to me. How much Leia has been in this and how big of part of the story she is. I was not expecting that at all. Disappointments I've mostly spoken about them already. I want to see more, I guess, too, of like, Luke. But obviously that's coming. Obviously, I'm sure that's coming down the line. We're going to see a little bit more of Luke. I'm hoping that we get some kind of interaction between him and Obi-Wan and Ben, because he obviously in A New Hope he knew who he was.
Yeah.
He said, I wonder if he's talking about old Ben Kenobi. So obviously they had some kind of a relationship there. But that's probably mostly it, besides the stuff we've already talked about with the Inquisitor and with Reva's character. And
let me ask you this. Is there anything you're worried about? Like, I hope they don't do this, which is, we could speculate responsibly, but we should also speculate and temper a little bit because I think this episode is going to have us all riding high. But is there anything that you're worried of them doing? I actually think for all the people arguing that they're creating plot holes, they're really not. There's nothing overt at all. She's called him Ben and she's called him Obi-Wan, both in A New Hope. Mm-hmm. She's alluded to, she's dealt with stuff before, people quickly thought the reason why Reva knows about Leia is because she knows that Obi-Wan and Bail work together. So he assumed if he takes Bail's daughter, he's going to go to Obi-Wan. It all works.
Right.
Is there anything you are worried about them doing though? Where you like, I'm not a massive canon Nazi.
I'm not either.
The only thing I would be is if like there's a scene with Luke and Leia and they're like, that's my brother and sister. I'm like, well, come on, guys. It took them 3 movies to realize that. Come on. Which I don't think they'll do. Like, I don't think that's silly. But is there anything you're worried about them doing?
Not really. Like, there's so much to pull from that I think, and this happens a lot in these kinds of situations with these kinds of shows where they do prequel shows where obviously something happens and then you're always questioning what you saw
Yeah.
obviously, and what happened afterwards. Like there's the one line I thought about this. There's the one line in A New Hope where Vader says, "When I left you, I was the learner. Now I'm the master." And obviously, that's not the case. The last time they saw each other, that's not the case. Now, I've just seen these movies so many times that this stuff is ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
So it's the stuff I pick up on right
And
away,
Vader's definitely not the learner right now, but
right?
it is what it is. Yeah.
Right. But like it's just stuff like that to me. Uh, I hope there's not a lot of that going on in the rest of this show. I'm not expecting it, but you
I'm
never
with
know.
you. The only thing that would bother me is if like there's too much of Leia and Vader. Like because correct me, I mean, dude, I've seen the movie so many times, but in A New Hope, yeah, he's trying to get the plans and Leia, but like I just hope there's not so much, and I hope there's not like Leia keeps alluding to the fact that like she wants to know about her parents. Like I hope she doesn't find out as a kid that Vader's her dad, because then it's
Right.
like then you're like, oh, did she just wait for Luke to figure it out? And then when she figured out, then she realized like
Oh,
it's all done so subtly in Return of the Jedi in that conversation. It's really nice. So
it just reminded me of a moment from this episode though when she asks Obi Wan if he's her
oh,
father,
that got me.
and
Yeah,
he
that
says,
got
"No,
me.
I wish I was." Uh, and then he brings up it's weird. It's cool that they brought up he thinks he might have had a brother, like when they were having that
Yeah.
talk, because there's a story where he actually visions a brother, and it's actually Owen Lars that he's envisioning, and I
Oh my
forget where it's
wow.
from. Yeah, but that's
I
he
didn't know
says
that.
he has a brother Owen. So I don't know if that was pulled from that because that would have been that's like a really deep dive. It's not a very popular known thing about Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's a deep dive.
Yeah, but that's something that it was cool that he said that. And then in my head, I'm like, well, are they gonna pull out that he has a brother? Uh, you know, I liked in the first, I think it was the first episode where he kind of references his relationship with Satine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's certain, I'm just thinking of all these things now that we're talking. All this is coming back to me, but so yeah, I have really liked that they've, like you said, he's not creating plot holes. They're just kind of filling stuff in,
There's
and
some stuff in.
yep,
And
and
actually making some pieces of the, of the original trilogy better. Well, like I do like what Zeddy said.
that's a good
I
point.
do like what Zeddy said where he goes, "Oh, is this?" And then he said this on our pod the other day. Like, is their confrontation, going to give more weight to when they meet at the start of A New Hope? Yeah, when you go back and watch it now, you're like, man, it's their last go around now. Like now we've seen these guys. Obi-Wan takes round one. We'll see Vader takes round two. Maybe Obi-Wan takes round three, and then round four is the one where he's got to give himself up for Luke. Like
Right.
it actually makes, aside from the line being inconsistent, oh no, it makes. I knew he was gonna like it too. I was gonna text him and be like, I knew you were gonna like it. But yeah, what was Jacob's thing that he put up about Dooku?
Yeah, he says that Dooku tells Anakin he's more powerful than the last time when they met, but in canon they literally fought a couple months ago.
Yeah, but it can't, that's true. But in canon, you're right. It's actually really close.
So yeah, but that's what that's probably my biggest fear going forward is that they're going to add things that are going to just create more questions for people and say, "Oh, they
Yeah,
created another plot hole." And I mean, if you know the story really well, you're gonna find them anyway. Like the
of
one I
course.
just brought up, that
Yeah,
just popped into my head just because I've seen these movies so many times
yeah.
that the littlest things I recognize
I just
when
hope
I
it's
watch
not a
them. So
jarring one. Like I
right,
hope it's not. Yeah, like I hope it's not like Leia has like 10 minutes of screen time with Vader, and he goes, you know, I, I have a daughter. I know I have
well,
twins, and I'm like, no, come on, man, you
yeah,
can't be doing that.
no, they can't do that. I mean, he didn't even technically know about Luke, right?
Technically, no.
Until he figures it out. Uh, he didn't know about Luke. So I hope to God they don't do that. I don't think they will. I think there's too much respect for that reveal anyway, and how heavy that reveal is.
Mhm.
Uh, and then in Return of the Jedi, when we get the reveal that Leia and Luke are twins, it's funny though, and this is not related to Obi Wan, but someone asked me today if I was telling people, if someone wasn't exposed to Star Wars, how would I tell them to watch the movies? And I always say in release order. That's
You
how,
have to.
right?
You just have to, because one, it's a visual thing, right? Like, you watch the prequels. Also, the prequels aren't, it's good holistically. So you watch
Right.
the prequels and then you're going back to something dated, even though they're better. I don't know. Not that they're that dated, but I don't know if you'll give them the same fair shake, especially the modern audience. But you got to do release order, because or else their kiss is weirder. At least you retroactively find out like them. Then when you already know their siblings and you're like, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then like I said about the reveal, it makes the reveal pointless because you already
Yeah,
know that's the
because you
case.
already know.
So I would, and I said, I'm like, I would never want to rob someone of that experience,
No.
because that's like one of the first disappointing memories I have from watching movies is when I was little. That
Yeah.
specific, because my father, I think I've told you guys this, but my father used to joke with me all the time that Darth Vader was actually a good guy, and I'd be like, "No, you're lying. That's not
Oh
true."
yeah.
And it
That's
turns out,
impossible.
right? Yeah. And it turns out he's not half wrong. So
Just also too, because it's more interesting to see Vader and then learn about Anakin and see the rise to Vader.
right.
That's more interesting to me. It's more interesting to me. It's sometimes why it is true that a prequel doesn't always work the best when you watch it first.
No.
Like, I'm thinking of, like, like the Godfather Part 2 stuff, even though it's partly told it's more compelling that way, because you
Right.
already know who the Don
Vito
was,
is, yes.
right? Yeah, you
Yes.
like you've already seen that masterpiece, and then you see the rise of the masterpiece, So it's sometimes prequels work better that way. 100%.
I'm gonna argue with you. I'm gonna argue with Matt on this one because not everyone loves Star Wars, and their kids might not all be exposed to it. And my perfect example is my nephew. He's 18 now, but my brother-in-law and my sister didn't care about Star Wars at all. So I was his first introduction to this stuff. And when when he started watching it with me, I remember I think I was actually watching Revenge of the Sith, and I told him, I said, no. I said, Tim, you have to watch them from the beginning. He was like 7 or 8 at this point.
Mhm.
I'm like, no, you have to watch it from episode 4. And he's like, why? He's like, I want to watch this one. I'm like, no, no, no. You have to start here. And to this day, if you asked him, he would tell you, he's like, I'm so happy you did that for me, because, like I wouldn't want to know all that stuff going into
I
those
also
other
think it
films.
still hits, though. It's like sometimes you can know spoilers and they still hit really hard. And I think a lot of people would be like anticipating being like, oh, wait, here's the moment. Yeah, he's the father. Like it still wouldn't hit as well as if you didn't know. But I think it'll still hit. Like, it won't be like, oh, and now he's the father. Like, when that,
How how did you consume them
I didn't know. So
at first?
I saw the original trilogy first. That's how my parents did it.
Okay.
That's how it's actually my dad and my aunt Cena are the big Star Wars fans, and I did the first. I was watching those
I love your dad.
original three. I watched those original three so much, and I didn't know that Vader was his father, so I got lucky too.
Yeah.
Because I was like I didn't see Phantom Menace in theaters. I was still too young, but I truly do remember. I truly do remember Attack of the Clones being like pretty much the first movie I remember in theaters. It is the first movie I remember in theaters, Attack of the Clones. So I watched those later and saw the rise to Vader. But no, it was original. It was release order. I'm so 3 and had no idea. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. No, Jacob, you aren't stupid, but that's hilarious.
No, you're just very idealistic. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool, actually.
you
Yeah.
thought it was a different story.
But no, that's yeah. So it's just weird. I got that question literally today. Someone tweeted me that question today
Got to do
about
release.
that.
Got to
Yeah.
do release.
Yeah, it has to be a release order. And there's that hatchet order now, or ratchet order, that you can watch in a certain way, and apparently it clears things up better. So I'm like, whatever. Watch them the way
No,
they
you
came
don't
out.
need clearing things up. It just happens. You see the story and then you go, oh, here's how Darth Vader comes. Boom. And then you go, and here's how they decided to keep it going. And there's 2 anthology movies in there.
Right.
I mean, that
Machete, that's
that
what
is
it's
what it
called.
is.
Yeah.
The
That's the machete.
machete version. What is that?
I don't know there it is. Matt is the wealth of knowledge for geeky stuff. I'm decided. So he's gonna give us all this,
4,
this
5,
information. He
1,
also brought
2, 3. Wait, but why would you split up? Is that just because so you have all the context before Revenge of Return of the Jedi?
yes, that's basically what this would
So
be.
it's basically you learn I'm your father, and then you go, oh,
Right.
it's like if there was a TV show and then they did a whole flashback episode
Yes.
to make 6 hit more.
Yes. Do we have to watch Attack of the Clones? Can we just not
Yeah,
include
can we
it?
just skip that one? Even though when I was younger, and I still think this, when Yoda fights with the lightsaber is pretty electric. Like
I
I won't even lie to you, like that's pretty electric.
I will defend that moment, even though some people think it's just ridiculous. But I'm like, he was supposed to be this most powerful Jedi, and up
Yeah,
until that point, we hadn't
it was
seen,
in his yeah.
like, I hadn't seen anything. So it was cool to see that. I remember sitting in the theater, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And then he pulled the lightsaber comes out, and I'm like, "Oh crap, he's gonna fight!" I was like, "Holy
It was
crap!"
so I was like 7 or 8, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Ever seen.
yeah, it was. That was pretty cool. There are cool moments in that movie. I
Yeah,
say I hate it because it's just so terribly written and acted, but
it's yeah, no, it's pretty brutal.
there are cool moments. Like Camino's a cool moment, and
Camino is a really cool moment.
yeah, they except for the dialogue between Obi Wan and Jango Fett, that's
Oh yeah,
terrible. But
yeah,
but,
it's pretty bad.
yeah, but there's some good moments in Clones. But for the most part, if I'm doing a rewatch, I'll watch it and I'll just fast forward through the parts I don't like,
Yeah, no,
because
I totally feel you.
I can't do it. But so you asked me about anything I'm worried about. What do you want to see now in Obi Wan going forward?
You know, I honestly all I have to see is some more really nice writing and development for Obi Wan, and now him switch it up and be more motivated to face Anakin, and there's one more all-out duel. I mean, this episode was such a nice payoff. I wouldn't even mind 2 more calm ones now, because I know something explosive is coming at the end of 6. Let me tell you what I thought before the show, what I thought after episode 1 and 2 that I didn't want, and now I wouldn't mind seeing it, is I think, don't you feel like Reva, I've been saying it 2 different ways this whole time. Don't you think Reva's going to turn?
It's funny you bring that up because somebody I know said that to me before the show even started. They're like,
Really?
I have a feeling she's gonna have this redemption arc, and I don't want it, but I kind of agree that it's gonna happen because I feel like they do redemption arcs all the time. They
Yeah.
did it with Kylo Ren, and just now,
They always do
obviously,
it. And Star Wars and Notorious.
so
The way I would like it is if it's Obi-Wan who gets her there. Like, it has to be him. Like, it can't just be she was like doing this for herself. It has to be, because I don't like when a show about the title character doesn't end with the title character doing something. And I'm really worried they're gonna like put him on the sideline at the end here. I need him to be the reason that she turns, if she turns. And maybe he doesn't do it physically, but he's able to do it with his words and his compassion at the end. And I wouldn't mind that. Because I think that could be interesting, because
right,
he is at this point of, you know, even at full power, I don't know if he's beating Vader. So you also have to believe that he's going to have to win this maybe some other way than beating Vader, because he's clearly not going to beat him because Vader's around and Vader kills him later. So it has to end in a way where it's like Vader still wins, but Obi-Wan's still okay. And he needs to be able to do something good. And is it just saving Leia? Or is it, you know, saving this one Inquisitor's life and showing her that it doesn't have to be this way? You know,
I
it could be.
yeah, I also think something's gonna happen too, surrounding Luke, where Vader might get close, and Obi-Wan has to do something,
Yeah, that would be
right?
wild.
Something like that. I'd love to see something like that because I think
Yeah.
that would add a lot of weight, to what we get in A New Hope, obviously, and Luke's arc from that point on. That
Yeah.
this whole could have been different if Obi-Wan didn't step in at that
Yeah.
point and do what he's there for, right? Do what he's
Yeah.
there to protect Luke. That's why he's really there. Which that was such a shocking point for me when he says to to Bail and Brea, no, I'm here just for Luke.
I love when they say
Right.
she's just as important as he is. Oh, I do love that line from the first one because it's true.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for those kinds of things to go on to for Obi-Wan to reclaim his kind of heroic story that he left off at, really.
Yeah.
In Sith, he was the hero kind of because of what happened with unfortunately, but
Oh, you think we're getting any flashbacks? I thought we were supposed to. We're
we got them
halfway.
in that little teaser before the first episode, which was the best way for me to tell people to watch the prequels. I'm like, just watch that.
Oh yeah, because do you really think it's just Hayden in the suit the whole time?
Well, that's a lot of people have brought that up,
Because
and that's a
we're
fair
halfway.
point.
It's a fair way. Like he's marketed. Like, did they really just tell the guy? Because I forgot. I think there's actually like an article about what he did, and I didn't want to read it because I was worried about getting disappointed. Because they also we would be remiss if we didn't said they did bring back James Earl Jones, which makes me very happy for a variety of reasons. I think you have to, as long as he's alive. God bless his soul. I think he needs to be the voice of Vader because it just hits. It hits, and especially with how they write him in here, it's even scarier. It's as scary as I've been in James Earl Jones' voice. I do hope we see a little bit of physical Hayden because that's also how his redemption's going to happen. If he's really just in the suit the whole time, I'm like, okay, is that all they? Because then it's James Earl Jones' voice. He's basically just a body double, which I don't think. I think we're going to get something from him. I hope, even if it's one scene, I just hope it's great for him.
Right. I hope we get stuff, obviously, maybe Clone Wars related to the show, stuff that we didn't see in the Clone Wars that they just do as a little extra, maybe conversations between when he's training, even though he's a little older now, but when they were training between Obi-Wan and Anakin, where maybe cool moments happened there, juxtaposition maybe to how he trained Luke in A New Hope. Yeah. Maybe we see some kind of similarities there. I agree with you. It would be weird to bring him back and not have him, just have him in the suit the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It would make my joke though about the picture when that first picture was posted. I said that literally could be anybody. It says Hayden Christensen. I was like,
it can be anyone. It can be anyone.
So
and that's the truth. And just like, I mean, he's done the whole press tour, and they talked about how they had all these scenes together, and that Hayden had to do the lightsaber training again. I'm like, okay, well, what'd you do? Unless he was like, really put me in the Vader suit and it's me the whole time. So I don't know.
I know.
Which God bless if he just signed up to do that. I respect it. But I think I think he already is redeemed, but his real redemption, I think, from the fans is we have to see him. Well, okay, if we do that, you're going to see me on the floor. I won't be able to do another one of these with Eric if we see a live of the big Clone Wars 3.
That would be cool.
And some of the other clone, like we got a clone cameo from Tamara.
We did.
Like a veteran. I thought they teased Cody might be in here, an older, worn out Cody. I'm still waiting for Rex. Better be in the Ahsoka series. I mean, we got to see Captain Rex somewhere. If we see Captain Rex, oh man. If we get Rex, a flashback of Rex, and I can't speak.
I agree with you.
That would be the greatest thing I've ever seen in live action.
I want Cody and Rex. I want both to be around.
And it would be cool if they got, just for her, if they got Ashley to be as Ahsoka when she's younger, as opposed to like de-aging Dawson.
Right.
Because Dawson's Ahsoka is actually, she looks older. Like she is older. And she looks older in Rebels too. So I think it would be cool if they were able to sneak her in a cameo where she's Ahsoka and then she gets to live out her dream of actually playing the character in live action. Even for a scene, even for 5 minutes. I think we're going to get it.
I hope so. That's the next show, right? I believe that's obviously, I think Mandalorian season 3, but then I think
February, and then Ahsoka,
and then Ahsoka's next. So that's the next, I guess, standalone legacy character show that we're getting. I'm really looking forward to that show. And I was not the biggest Ahsoka fan.
Oh, really?
At first.
Oh, man.
She annoyed me to no end. But as the Clone Wars went on, I really got to like the character.
Oh, I agree. When she
So
starts off, she's like, I'm like, why does this character exist? And then by the end, I'm like, she's one of the best.
yeah,
I truly mean she's one of the best Star Wars characters of all time.
yep.
When it's all said and done.
So I'm looking forward to that show. I mean, I remember we got in the Mandalorian. I was like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's so awesome they're bringing these animated characters
It's so cool
to live action. And it's weird. I feel differently about like the Disney films that they do live action. I'm kind of like, we really don't need it, but
yeah.
but these are just awesome just to see.
Oh, they're perfect.
Yeah, and that someone like Rosario Dawson wants to play Ahsoka Tano. Like
yeah, she wants to. You just let her.
Like you have these great, these really accomplished actors who have done a lot of different things, wanting to be part of this universe. It's awesome.
It's amazing to see.
Yep. So, what do you think about a season 2? I mean, we could discuss this as the weeks go on, but
I really hope it's a limited series. I do.
Okay. All right.
I do hope it's a one and done, only because then you run the risk of it getting bad or
That's true.
repetitive. So I like this whole one shot, have it be done. But like I said, if it ends and they nail a season 2 and they say I won't be mad if there's a season 2. I'll be like, bring it on. But maybe if he's off world, but it would be a lot to keep trying to tell stories that intertwine Vader and Leia and Luke. And then I would be like, all right, now they really know each other. But if you bring him off world and have him like do a bunch of different stuff and just the journey to him being older and coming, and then it ends where however the show and how many seasons ends where he's older on Tatooine, I would like that too. A whole journey for Obi-Wan post. But for now, I'm gonna say I'm totally cool with it being a one and done, as long as it's the best story they could have told for him.
Right, and obviously we got that one episode with him and Maul in Rebels.
Yes,
we got that one. So we have another point of reference for him. So it would have to be somewhere between those two time periods.
You're right. Yeah.
So it'll be. I agree. I kind of don't want a second season, depending on how this one ends.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. If this one ends in a place where there's more story to tell and they feel like they have a good story to continue, by all means do it. But if this story ends where he has his confrontation with Vader and he's just kind of, now he's literally really hiding again, and he doesn't know where he is, and Vader's still technically looking for him in one form or fashion, I'm fine with him just leaving it at that and moving on and letting us just have what we have. Because I honestly never thought, after the movie didn't happen, I really didn't think this was going to happen. So
me either. I'm shocked. Yeah. I'm shocked it's happening.
So this has been a welcome thing for me, getting this show at this point. So, all right, I think that's it.
We did it. We talked Star Wars, and we're going to do it again, which is cool, man. That's all worth it. I think we both delivered, I'll say.
Yeah, outside of the technical lightning difficulty, I came back and
just made it that much more authentic, though.
So that was so guys, we're going to do this for the next 3 weeks. Every Wednesday night we're going to do this to recap that day's show. Obviously this show is longer because we had to do the 3 episodes, but the ones going forward should be a little bit shorter and more self-contained, and maybe we'll throw in some trivia from the show for you guys and just make it a little bit more fun. Just to get you guys to interact with us a little more. Thank you all for the comments. We love you guys. Everyone who's been in the room commenting at us. I'm so glad you guys watched. I literally only told you guys about this today because today Wednesday came up so fast. When Nikko texts me overnight, because he's crazy, he stays up to watch.
Yeah, I stay up
to watch it. So I wake up and I'm like, oh crap, it's Wednesday. I totally forgot. So, Steve, I am watching Stranger Things. I am behind though. I'm late.
I've only seen one. I've only seen the first episode, and I liked it.
So I'm way behind.
I'm gonna try to do a couple more here.
I'm only in season 2 for me, so I have to watch obviously season 2 and 3. Thank God they're short seasons, because if they were like 12, 14 episodes, I'd be like, damn it. But they're only like 8.
Oh, you haven't even watched the second and third season?
No, I haven't. I'm late to the party.
Okay.
So but I'm gonna catch up. Because I want to catch up, and then I will obviously watch through season 4. But Jacob, man, thank you for watching us.
Appreciate you, my guy.
Yeah, Jacob, Steve, my My doppelganger, Eric Trollsman. Thank you for coming in here.
Who is that?
That's Pete.
Oh my gosh, is that really? Shout out to Pete.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Pete.
that is hilarious.
So
I didn't know that. That is so funny.
So yeah, guys, I know I look really red too, but it's hot in here. It's hot in this room, so I'm very, very red right now. But yeah, thank you all for watching again. Again, and we're gonna do it next 3 weeks, and then hopefully after that we have something else where we can shout out and watch.
Yeah, right. Keep. Well, we got Miss Marvel's coming.
Yeah. So we definitely have.
Do you watch The Boys?
Yes, I watch The Boys
because that's Friday.
I know that's Friday. That's the next thing I've been looking forward to.
So. Yeah, I'm very excited for The Boys.
So yeah,
like that might even cut into my Stranger Things season 4 watching if I don't finish because The Boys, trust me, I love me The Boys.
Yeah, that show was a surprise and how much I really, really like it. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So for Nikko Caruso, I'm Eric Holzman. You are watching, I'm sorry, I was going to say Straight Outta Gotham, SOG Tonight, and we will see you next time.